Pure Carbon. Today we'll be debunking one of those pesky spirit science videos. It's all about Organite and crystals.
Welcome to the final episode about crystals. Today's lesson will be split into two parts. We're going to start today's lesson by talking about Organite, and then we're going to move on to what I call the crystal movement.
Enjoy.
Oh god. No. No, 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 no. Oh. Oh.
To discuss Organite, first we must discuss the basics of orgone energy. Simply put, orgone is energy. In fact, it's another name for the multi-named etheric energy that is everywhere and embodies all things. Reiki energy, prana, biomagnetic energy, chi, soft electrons, and life force energy are all
Bullshit. None of these forms of energy can be measured, and if they could be, then guess what? They would be considered energy by the scientific community. However, they can't, because from my understanding, all these different forms of energy can only be felt spiritually, and not measured.
names for the same thing. An orgone matrix or Organite crystal device is a device that provides assistance with working with these etheric energies. Organite both releases orgone energy when stimulated by other forms of energy, and has the capacity to change orgone energy from one state to another.
Yes, but how do they do that? All it is a crystal surrounded by metal shavings and resin. The second law of thermodynamics states that energy is constantly running down towards a state of disorder. Simply put, energy is spreading out, and entropy is increasing. So how does it convert negative orgone energy to positive energy without violating this law?
It is especially suited for dissolving negative energy in an area and converting it to balanced, healthy energy.
Just like magic. Oh wait.
This makes it especially useful in a wide range of applications, from alternative health, radionics, and other traditional metaphysics.
But you still haven't explained how this happens. What I really want to know is how can this guy spew all this bullshit and have it fly over the heads of so many people? It's really sad.
Where did Orgonite come from? Well, in the 1930s and 40s, Dr. Wilhelm Reich was able to detect and measure the existence of etheric energy, which he called orgone, using a modified Geiger counter.
Would that be in the same way as if I had modified an LCD screen to say that giant floating manatees are real? I could conclude that giant floating manatees are real?
Okay, this is LCD experiment number 1. Here we go. Oh my god. What? I have discovered that the living manatee is real.
Hey,
Hello, ladies.
it's pronounced matinee. And stop attacking my family, Pure Carbon.
I shall call it Red Key.
Hey,
I could sit here and explain how Geiger counters work and why Wilhelm Reich, I don't know if I'm saying that, is wrong, but instead I will link an article debunking his modified Geiger counter in the description section of this video. The article shows that his Geiger counter basically gave the numbers that he wanted it to give, and he didn't discover anything.
He determined that by stacking alternating layers of fiberglass, which is an organic substance, and steel wool, an inorganic substance, you could attract and collect orgone energy of both positive and negative polarities.
You still haven't explained what orgone energy is. All you said is that it's energy. That's not an explanation, you moron. And how does fiberglass and steel wool attract anything, Also, how was this measured? With that modified Geiger counter that was modified specifically to give false readings? Bullshit.
He called the positive energy POR and the negative energy DOR, which stands for positive orgone and deadly orgone. He began constructing a device that was able to successfully heal his patients of various ailments, including various forms of cancer, by having them sit inside the box for periods of time.
If it actually healed anyone, then why isn't it used today? Is it the Illuminati or the Martians that are pressing this?
Neither. If there was anything like that that actually worked, then we would be using it. But it doesn't, so we don't use it, because it does more harm to the cancer patient than good, by hoping that the magic New Age woo will save the day.
In 1986, scientists at the University of Marburg in Germany published the results of a blind study, which showed that 30-minute orgone accumulator treatments caused a consistent psychological effect. They published that their investigations displayed evidence for the assumption that the properties of orgone accumulators and its effect on humans factually exists. Reich's work continued into the 60s by a really open-minded Russian scientist named Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, among others, who also scientifically proved that such unseen energies do exist all around us. This work led to the Soviet military using torsion field sciences in their military defense applications, which shows that amazing discoveries that can change the world can both be used for the light as well as the dark.
I searched and searched for the study done by the University of Malmberg, but I found nothing of the sort. And since you didn't provide any sources, I can't fact-check it. So I'm going to assume that you're completely talking out of your ass here. Nikolai was an astrophysicist who spent 20 years of his life in prison, where he spent most of his time there mainly working on theoretical physics and tried answering the question, where do stars get their energy from? This is where he probably theorized, and yes, that's right, theorized the torsion field. But that's just a guess because I can't find anything on it. Now, once again, you don't provide any sources, so I can't verify anything you say here. For all I know, he could have theorized this, but until I validate your source, I must assume that this is bullshit. I did, however, find information on torsion fields, which were actually worked on by a Russian physicist. However, the project was scrapped because it was shown to be bullshit, and was proven to be wrong. This project was actually led by Anatoly Akimov, I'm going to completely butcher these names, and Gennady Shipov, but no Nikolai. Strange. It's almost as if you lied to your audience here.
In continuing this work, modern science has taken it to whole new levels in trying to figure out the nature of dark matter, zero-point energy, and the vacuum flux, and these are all discussions for another time. In 2000, orgone accumulators came into being when Don and Carol Croft discovered through much research that mixing organic fiberglass resin and metal chips poured into small molds like paper cups and muffin pans would produce a substance which would attract etheric energy.
Once again, how is this measured? Just out of curiosity. You know, Oscar Jungel has a video where he creates one of these orgone accumulators and goes through the list of the abilities that this thing supposedly has and debunks every single one. So if you want to see that, then click the annotation here, or you can go to the link in the description.
Then, by putting crystals into the mix, you get something even more amazing. Carol Croft, who was incredibly gifted in sensing etheric energies, found that adding a quartz crystal to the Orgonite would cause the Orgonite to not just attract all kinds of energy, but rebalance and transmute all of the negative energy into positive.
How? All quartz is silicon dioxide. It's the same stuff that makes up the sand in the fucking beach. Except at the beach, it's much smaller. Couldn't you just take sand and do the same thing? Or are they too small? Why you gotta discriminate like that, huh? Are these smaller crystals not good enough for you? Huh? You asshole.
As we learned in Crystals 1, this is because the molecular structure of quartz is incredibly stable and harmonically aligned with the geometry of the universe.
And therefore, it can break the law of conservation of energy.
Organic substances attract and hold a scalar charge, while metallic substances tend to repel it.
But did you just say metallic substances repel energy and inorganic substances attract it? Hold up, have you ever heard of a capacitor? It's basically two metal plates separated by a non-metallic insulator that allows the charge to build up until it's strong enough to jump through this insulator, which is the exact opposite of what you say. Tell you what, we'll do an experiment. My tablet is filled with capacitors. And if I'm right, then it should turn on, because everything in our universe follows a certain set of laws that can't be broken. If you're right, then it will not turn on, because metallic substances don't hold a charge. Okay, here we go. Ready? Wow, look at that! Yay, science.
Basically, Orgonite pulls in bioenergy, and while energy is inside the device, metal particles and organic resin both push and pull on it in all directions at the same time. This puts friction on the energy, where the crystal will begin to create order from chaos by aligning the structure of the energy into a more positively aligned pattern.
Basically going against the second law of thermodynamics. I've already removed the pillars that your argument stood upon using science and facts that can easily be tested and observed again and again. How do people buy into this bullshit?
Crystals and gems all have their uses that we've looked at, and Orgonite does too. Orgonite is good for putting in an area that is needing a transmutation of a lot of negative energy into positive energy.
Can you give me a real-world example of this, where there was just chaos, and one of your magic clumps of resin made it better? I'm waiting. Okay, I'm done waiting around for you. And I think I've waited long enough for the ad revenue to throw another penny my way.
And depending on what that situation is, you may need lots or very little. There's actually one final thing I'd like to bring up about Orgonite, which is actually called tower busting. It has been widely experienced that the widespread use of cell phone towers create a thick blanket of DOR, or negative orgone energy, around the areas between them. This saturates our homes and communities with negative energies that promote drought, negativity, fear, and so on. I'm not saying that the towers are causing the negativity of the world, but perhaps just stimulating or intensifying it.
Damn. I was really hoping you were going to go full conspiracy theorist on me. Because that's really easy to refute.
However, it has been experienced that this can be remedied by placing or burying Organite at the base of a cell phone tower. Thousands of aware and selfless, beautiful people in the world have begun doing this and slowly helping out in what is being called the Organite gifting movement.
Wait, hold on. You're encouraging your hordes of idiot fans to deface private property? Wow. I knew you were a pretentious asshole, but I didn't expect you to go this far. What you are advocating is illegal, and anyone who's dumb enough to listen to that deserves whatever fine comes their way, because they wanted to bury a lump of resin in the dirt.
And this is happening all over the world, and we need your help as well. To find out more about Organite, check out www.organite.info, where it talks about the science behind it and the gifting movement and how to get involved yourself. Or check out the link in the comments to an article by my friend Trey, who makes Organite and has written a big explanation about how and why it works.
I checked it out, and it's nothing but more of this bullshit that can easily be refuted with a 7th grade science textbook.
Now we're going to move on to the crystal movement. Now, I realize from the title you might be thinking, what? Is this some kind of new movement like Zeitgeist or Occupy, only based around crystals? Well, not really. But if we follow through with this shift in consciousness could be an incredibly smooth process. Crystals, being conscious...
Did you just say crystals are conscious? That makes no sense. You clearly don't understand what consciousness is, because no one really knows what consciousness is. We have a pretty good idea, but it's hard to test if something is conscious. Artificial intelligence research has greatly advanced our understanding of this, because we are coming really close to figuring out what makes something intelligent and conscious. From what we've found, it needs to be able to do a lot of things. Which, by the way, a lump of quartz does none of.
Don't just like sitting around in the same spot all the time. They like to travel, just as most people do. Crystals move about when they want to. They change owners, jump out of your pocket, and flat out abandon you when the time is right for them. If you are in tune, you will be able to know when a crystal is ready to move to someone or somewhere else. Just like people, when we are done with a task, it might be a time to move on to something new.
Once again, crystals aren't conscious. They don't make decisions. They don't want to move around, and they don't leave you. You just lose them. Actually, if I was a crystal and I was owned by you, then I would make myself conscious to get the fuck away from you, because you are insane. And not in a good way.
Crystals are the same way. I've had many experiences where a crystal of mine that I loved decided to leave, stay somewhere else, be with someone else, or just flat out vanish on me.
Holy crap. It's Crystal me getting the fuck away from you. Wow, I must be psychic. Or I've just watched this video 70 times already.
It's all fine though, because that's where it went, which means that's where it needs to be.
How do you know all this? You know, at least the creationists have a book that they can point to and say, this is where I get my crazy beliefs from. Where you, on the other hand, don't. You basically just make up bullshit as you go along.
The crystal movement is about the movement of crystals across the world and into the hands of the people. It's time for crystals to help the human race find ourselves and return to a higher state of awareness and frequency by bringing in pure and high frequencies that we need.
More bullshit backed by nothing. Come on, say something crazy so I can refute it.
All over the world, people are beginning to give crystals and move them around. They're giving them as gifts for holidays and birthdays. One thing I've started doing is actually carrying around a little bag of crystals with me all the time to hand out to people that I encounter as I go about my day. When a person who's down on their luck asks you for some spare change or a cigarette, you can reply, "Sorry, I don't have any change, but I'd love to share a crystal with you," and then briefly describe what it is this particular crystal does, if you know, and wish them safe journeys on the path that they are walking.
Oh, here we go. So instead of giving them something that they would actually need, like food or water, you give them some silicon dioxide. I'm going to show you some pictures of some people from around the world. I want you to ask yourself, what would benefit them the most? Food, water, and shelter? Or a piece of quartz, which you can find on the side of a road? Fuck you, asshole. Every 10 seconds a child dies from starvation, and your solution to this problem is just give them crystals. You know, that's not what really pisses me off, though. What really pisses me off is the fact that this guy has deceived over 500,000 people, which means that there are a ton of people out there who are thinking that crystals will actually save the world. You know the old saying, out of the frying pan and into the fire? Many of these people who leave one of the larger religions because they don't want to associate themselves with the bigotry. However, they also don't want to feel that feeling of spirituality. And as a result, they start following someone like this. Which, in my opinion, is even worse. Because it's nothing but information. Our world is fucked.
I encourage everyone to try just doing that. What you're doing is literally giving out a little pocket of love or abundance or insight. And who knows what will manifest into their life. It feels absolutely incredible. It's so good to share crystal magic with people and to see their eyes light up when they're holding their brand new rose quartz or kyanite or whatever.
What you're doing is making an already difficult situation worse. Because you think you're helping, and you're claiming that you're helping, but instead doing nothing. Actually, I have more respect for the people who are doing nothing. Because they don't claim to be saving the world like you.
Ultimately, it's just spreading goodness. If you're shy and don't necessarily want to hand them out to strangers, you could also just leave them wherever you go. Jim Carrey said that he used to go around and write, "Have a great day" on $20 bills and leave them around the city for others. You can do that with crystals.
So now you're saying a crystal is like a $20 bill. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Can you imagine the feeling of stopping to tie your shoe and finding a beautiful piece of rose quartz just saying, "Take me"? Now imagine being able to give that to others. Compassion, love, and gratefulness are such powerful and incredible emotions and frequencies, and love will be the force that brings us together.
Honestly, whenever I see a crystal, I smash it into a bunch of tiny little pieces. Why? I don't know. My vision gets blurry and I eventually black out. But when I become conscious again, I find a bunch of white powder surrounding me. It's really weird. It's almost like I'm being controlled or something.
Now, we have mainly been focusing on what smaller crystals can do. Pocket stones are wonderful on an individual basis, but now let's come up with some ideas that we could do with larger crystals. Large crystals are very powerful. You can do a lot with large crystals, and you can help a lot of people if you put them in the right places. For example, putting large geodes for healing and love in hospitals could help many, many people recover incredibly quickly.
Wouldn't a bunch of smaller crystals have the same effect? If so, then why don't we just bring all the sick people to the beach and leave them there? Because the sand is basically a bunch of small crystals, so it should work, right? Actually, we don't do that, because crystals don't do anything for a person's health. Also, did you know that glass is made up of silicon dioxide? Which, in case you've forgotten already, is exactly what most crystals are made of. Now, windows don't make me happy. And do you know why? Because every time I look at one, I'm reminded of the fact that I'm stuck inside responding to you.
Crystals around your home can influence or aid in your family life. Putting crystals in the classroom could help students both learn and grow more as individuals and communities. We could install large crystals of abundance and love into homeless shelters, and who knows what could happen.
Ooh, I know what happens. Nothing, because if crystals actually helped with anything, then the ones that were naturally buried below these places would have some effect. But they don't. If we assume that there were dozens of crystals buried below a hospital or a homeless shelter, do you really think one more is going to make any difference? That's what I thought. Go fuck yourself, spirit science.
Even smaller businesses can benefit with some crystals around the office or work environment. I feel it's very important that we start investing in crystals and fast, not because of the economic reasons, but because of what it will do for us and what beauty and love it could bring into our lives.
And more bullshit.
So how do we do this? This is probably something that needs some organization, and we need to follow through. On the Spirit Science website, we've been partnering and working with many people who work with crystals. Our friend Kiko makes chakra necklaces, which you can get through the site. We're also working with my friend Trey, who makes Organite to help get as many of these Organite devices out to the world as possible.
Shill your crab, shill out loud, shill it strong. And of course, we come to the real reason this asshole makes these videos. Here's some random bullshit that will fly over the heads of scientifically illiterate people. And here's the bullshit you need to buy. It's a scam. Don't listen to this idiot. Organite and crystals were always a scam to take money from ignorant people. Instead, give your money to me through patreon.com so I can debunk more bullshit like this.
How about bigger crystals? We feel this is going to work on a community basis. Obviously, not many people have hundreds of dollars to spend on crystals to share with their communities or workspaces, or local hospitals, shelters, and schools. However, collectively we do.
So now you're saying encourage your friends to help you buy bigger crystals? And the scam grows larger.
I encourage everyone who is on board with this to share these videos and information with all of those around you, and look into collectively pooling your resources into bringing some powerful, energetic fountains into your environment. Not only will this bring in a lot of good energy, but it will also create a lot of love connections between the individuals who are sharing the experience of getting crystals together.
Stop attacking my family with your bullshit, please.
And if you do put crystals in a home or workspace or environment, take a picture of it and send it to us. We could put it up on the website and show how the crystal movement is doing.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry.
Oh, silicon. Everyone knows carbon is the one true element.
And that takes us to the end of the crystal special.
Thank God.
But this is only the beginning of...
No. No, 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 no. No, this can't be the beginning. This is the end. This is the end of the video. It's over. I destroyed you. We're done. No more. No.
our exploration with crystals. Now it's up to you to do something with it. So let's go out and share some love with the world. See you next time.
No, 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 no! I've been avoiding this guy for forever. I'm sure many of you can see why. He's a liar, a cheater, an asshole. The list goes on and on. So if you enjoyed this, let me know so I can debunk another one of this idiot's videos. And as always, have a nice day.